Hi.
Hey, Tammy, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you? How are you doing? How was your day?
Yeah, went well. I'm super excited about our session today.
Okay. All right. Hi everyone. Welcome. Welcome to today's section. So today's sections we're going to be talking about how you're gonna navigate the reality of your first 90 days. So this role, new career. So either you're learning how to move fast and to build relationships, how you could avoid some common mistakes, and how you can also grow your career early.
So I love the topic of the first 90 days because it's super important. It's really big on how people are going to experience your communication style, what potential you're going to show. It's really big about building trust. A lot of times, folks can think about the first 90 days as this moment to show everybody why they were hired or show that they know everything, but that's a big mistake. You want to go in there with a mindset of learning and just show folks the way that you learn and just start building that trust.
Yeah. So we understand that today's job market move very fast. Many people are entering roles either remotely or in hybrid teams, or some people are even working in person. And we understand also that expectations can be feel unclear, and some people can feel that pressure. So what we are doing is that you need to learn some new tools. You're going to learn AI and how you can also learn quickly, and also how you can adapt to those changes. So that is what we are putting together for you to bring up in this section today.
All right. So I will tell you, we will be very successful if you leave this session with a framework that you can use. Definitely, Tammy will tell you about his awesome background. I'll give you some examples of things that I've gone through to help me in the 90 days. But to me, the most important is that you can take any of the patterns that we're going to provide or templates that we can provide, and you can apply that to a job, whether it's a promo, a new company, or just a new role. And so that's going to be the most important out of the session. But before we get into that, I want Tammy to introduce himself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shanell, for that. So myself, my name is Tammy Ibeama. I am an AI product marketing manager here at Microsoft. So my career has spanned over a couple of years working in cybersecurity and working with different teams here at Microsoft. I would say this section is very important to me because I have done my first 90 days like 4 times. I've literally gone across different teams. I've worked across different managers. I've executed more and more projects in a very short time. So that's one of the reasons what make this program or this section very special to me. But outside all of that, I also have like a career coaching section where I help early career folks and students for them to utilize and unlock career opportunities using AI tools, and for them to like gain some opportunities to take them to the next level. So those are like few little things that I do in my little space.
That
So
sounds
what
really.
about you?
I loved hearing about your four different roles in a short period of time. So this is going to be really fun. So a little bit about myself. I'm a passionate people leader. I get a lot of work joy if the solutions that I'm developing or supporting the deployment on provides value to the users. And so that's a big part of why I love the work that I do. I'm a former U.S. Air Force officer, military spouse. My husband was Army, and a mom as well. And so, what I do at Microsoft on a daily basis is I get a chance to lead an amazing team of PMs. We focus on developing and deploying solutions that are for engineers. So, other engineers are my customers. We want to be able to provide solutions that make it easier for them to ship code without any outages and just make their lives easier. And so, outside of Microsoft and independent there, my husband and I are the co founder of a skill trades education and hiring platform called Kin Trades. And it's something I'm really passionate about to use in my community to help others. So, I'm excited about this session.
Yeah, I'm also excited about this section. I'm excited about the full week section because I know the career skill section has been filled with a lot of activities. There has been a lot of trainings, there have been a lot of certifications, and today's section is majorly focused on how we could thrive and survive in your first 90 days. I understand how first 90 days is usually filled with a lot, and we're here to unpack everything. So be sure to check all our playlist that we have and for some additional guidance for your support and some career tips. So we go down to the questions, right? We're just going to answer some prompts and some things that we know. So Chanel, I'm going to ask you first. I'm going to start with some questions a lot of early career folks they usually go through when they start their work. So what would you say helped you the most when you were trying to understand a new workplace beyond the job description?
So, when you get to a new space, they're going to provide you with access to wikis and all types of information. But I will tell you the best solution I've used, and I'm using now because I just started a new role, is to be able to
Okay.
learn through engaging. And so, one of the ways that I've been able to accelerate onboarding into a specific role is when I get to a new space. You have like an open mind at that moment. You'll feel a lot of pressure to just tell folks what you know, but I recommend you just pause and actually start engaging. And so, a lot of times, I take a look at the different teams I'm going to work with, the folks that are on my team, whether or not I'm going to support a customer internal to the organization, and I set up time with those folks and I start asking questions. And so when I have the discussion with people, I try to ask the same question a lot. But the questions I ask are things you can't read on a wiki. So questions such as what are some of the like political downfalls I should avoid, right? No one's going to write that down, but someone will definitely tell you, or questions about the mission, the unwritten mission, or especially what are some of the crazy makers or opportunities for improvement. And so when I'm having those conversations and I start asking the same question consistently, you actually start getting information and themes. And you start uncovering some really great information to help you focus your next 90 days on. So that's been really helpful for me. I got a question for you, Tammy,
Okay.
specifically for you. So, what are some of the signals that you believe people should pay attention to during those first few weeks?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? I noticed that most times the first few weeks, people try as much as possible to prove themselves. You're in a new team, you're in a new environment, you want to show the skills that you have, you want to show what are you capable of, and get some bragging rights. And that is like most at times a wrong approach to start with. Your first few weeks should be more about understanding the workplace, that how does it work, how does things being closed, what actually move the needle, right? The very first thing that I usually look out for is how does decision get made in that particular team, right? Um, the way decisions are being made is not just the same way the org chart is being organized, right? Every team has this unofficial influence map that these decisions are made. So you need to watch who are the people that shift opinions, who are the people that get looked into emails, looked into those threads, right? These are not the people that are often more important in the success, but they are people that help shape this title. Then, secondly, the next pattern or signal I look at is what is not being talked openly, because every team that has a project that didn't land or the process that is being broken, there's like a silent topic that is being discussed elsewhere. So you don't necessarily need to fix everything in your first 90 days. You just need to know what exists. You just need to know what are the patterns that are being recognized, and you just need to know who are the people that get rewarded, right? So I mentioned I I rotated across four different teams during my first year at Microsoft, and every team came with different managers. So every single time, what I did was I had to relearn the room. I had to find out who are the key people. I had to notice what are some of the key things that are working in that particular room, right? And that is one of the fastest way for you to get hired. That's one of the fastest way for you to effect change after getting this thing. So one practical tip that I do is that I have a running note called the first 30 days. So things I notice, I just titled it with things I notice. And with that, I take note of everything that is going on in the team or in a particular org before I start implementing change. So that's like one key area or some of the patterns I know in my first 90 days. So I also have a question for you too, right? What should someone prioritize in their first 30 days, or I would say the first 60 days, and what should they actually be trying to learn from those conversations? Remember, you were talking about some of the engagement conversations during the first questions.
So when you start in a role, you have an opportunity to meet new people just organically. Like that's your job. Your job is to be able to engage and so take advantage. And so, like I mentioned before, I can use an example. Most of the roles that I've had, I've been in a PM space. And so with that particular role, I take a look at the folks that I'm going to serve, whether it's going to be the team, whether it's going to be my peers, the engineers I work with, or an internal customer. And so when I go have those conversations, I've planned it out. I come in a structured manner. And so when I'm having those discussions, I'm asking questions about what opportunities can I actually support? So what are the crazy makers that they're going through? When I ask those type of questions, and if you think about, let's just say three groups, so the engineers, the PMs, and the business, so the folks that you're serving. So when I ask that same question, one of the things that you'll find is that you're going to find the same theme, but it's going to be represented from these different personas. And so asking the question about what are your challenges, you find the critical, impactful work. It's not work that's on any type of roadmap. Um, it's challenges that everybody's experiencing, but you're the person that's actually put it together, which is amazing. And so you build trust within the first 30 days because you've gone to folks asking questions versus dictating your own process.
Yeah.
And you've actually found impactful work. And so from there, you've built in the right tools to be able to actually solve the right problems. And so for me, those are the right types of questions, the right folks that I would usually entertain during the first 30, 60 days. So tell me a little bit, how do you start building relationships and finding your people early in your career?
That's a very good question. And the people you build and the relationship you make within the start for your career kind of shapings your paths with your pattern, with your acceleration growth. So I see this mistake a lot for early career folks. Most of the times they treat relationship building like networking, right? There's totally different between building quality relationship and having network of people, right? Networking is mainly transactional, right? And people can feel those kind of relationship that you want something from me, you're trying to like transact something, but what actually works is showing genuine curiosity about people work, asking key questions, right? So because of how my rotation was structured, I had the opportunity of building relationship from the start 4 times, like I mentioned, within a short period of time. And in my very first few weeks of my rotation, what I usually do is that I would schedule 20 to 30 minutes conversation with people across different functions. So my key stakeholders, my immediate team, some of my collaborators. So I kind of having like not just like an introduction conversations. I try as much as possible to ask real questions. And one of the things I understood is that people like talking about themselves, people like sharing their journeys. So when I ask the key questions like what does success look like in this role? What are some of the impacts that you've made? What's the most misunderstood thing that is that's pretty much about the team, or what do people wish that this role could be done better. So people remember those kind of questions and those kind of conversations that is being asked, right? So another thing that I also learned is that finding your people means identifying specific types of people early enough, right? There are two criteria of people that you need to look out for when you're building those relationships, right? Number one is the people that will tell you the truth when no one else will. So these are the people that are your mentors. These are the people that are your sponsors. These are the people that are are your bodies, right? These three key peoples are people that will tell you the truth when nobody will tell you the truth, right? And the second set of people are people that you get stuff done informally, right? They are going to show up for you when you need them. They are going to like have your back, and they will definitely help you move your career to the next steps, right? So a practical takeaway that I'm going to give is that, when you start up a career, a new role, or you're starting up a new career, right? Block out, the very first 2 weeks of your career and have those conversations. Do not wait until you feel settled, or do not wait until like you're ready for you to have those conversations, because the start of those conversations are what is going to lead you and lead your trajectory of your journey. So those are like pretty much key things that you could do to build those relationships. So I also have a question for you, right? And I noticed you talked about some of the questions that people could ask on the first 90 days, which could give them signals. And this was also one of the questions that was asked by one of our audience. So my question is, what are some of the most important, or what are some of the best questions that one could ask in their first 90 days that will signal that they are going to be great?
So I guess some of them I mentioned already, like listening to understand someone's particular challenge. Like that's so important, especially if you do something about it, right? So the first 30 days, you get a pass. You get to ask the question, and folks are like, man, I really like this person. They're curious. They're always, try to learn. But deliver on that, oh man, you just made gold, right? They're like, this is some person I want to work with. But another question that to me really helps me as far as in my role, as well as when I'm leading a team, is asking the question, what does success look like? Or what does winning look like?
Yeah.
And why is this question important? One, the way that I like to work, I don't do well in environments that dictate how you do work. I'm like, you know what? I bring a skill set. I want to be creative. I want to bring my particular swag to that role. And so that's okay, but you better be asking, what does winning look like? And so understanding and knowing what your organization leadership believes the outcome should look, you have that information, you can then go and work with other people to brainstorm to develop better ideas, just not just your own, and you can develop on those ideas to deliver on that goal. Once you know what winning looks like, that piece allows you to kind of like guide you every step of the way to validate, am I doing the right work? Is the work that I'm doing impactful? And so that's probably one of the most important questions, first 90 days, as well as just consistently throughout whenever you're supporting any type of work within your space. All right.
Yeah.
So I got my last question for you. All right. So when did you first feel like you were owning a role versus just reacting to it?
Hmm. That's a very good question, because most of the times when you start a career or you're starting a new role, you are being reactive instead of proactive, right? And honestly, I would say ownership doesn't feel like a moment thing for me. I would say it's a slow shift, right? Starting a career, um, but there are some few things that you could point as a marker that you will understand that you're contributing and you're taking ownership. And the very first thing I would say is that when you walk into a meeting, and instead of just having question, you have a point of view, right? You're being able to like share your point of view when suggestions has been made, right? You could connect with the team on what they are doing, and you could help shift the functions over, right? You know when enough to disagree with something, and also when to suggest a new directions to some opinion that is being raised, right? So that's the line between, when you're executing and when you're owning, right? So you could you could start reacting to things that are in front of you. You could start making your contribution, having so much context that you could give different position ahead of you. And this kind of happened to me recently, during one of my conversations I had with my team. I noticed that I could understand where the force or where the contents of this discussion was going. I could definitely give my opinion. I could definitely tell them what I think, and there was some part that I was able to even push back. Right, so that kind of confidence gives you a little bit of understanding that you're becoming a subject matter expert in a particular area, or you're becoming in an ownership position, right? So for most people, in a new role, this could take between 60 to about 75 days. And I spoke with one of my mentors, and he told me it took him roughly 3 months, 3 to like 5 months for him to become, for him to start owning things, right? So I want everyone who is an early career to understand that this process takes slow. It's a process that takes a while. So what slows people down at this stage is the fear of overstepping their boundaries, right? Sometimes they ask themselves, am I being too forward with what I'm saying, right? So what you need to do is to reframe what you understand, right? Because you're being hired for you to add value to the team. So you don't need to stay quiet for too long. You don't need to feel that you're too ready. And the good truth is that your very first few weeks are like sometimes that you could make mistake and you could go scot-free, right? So a good signal for you to get is that when people start coming to you, when people start asking for your perspective, when people start asking you to come execute things with them, so you need to understand that these are key markers for you to know that you are now actively owning, and you are now an active participator and contributor to a particular project or to a particular thing that you're building, than just you being a reactor or you just being supporting in a particular role. So that's one key area that you feel, or that you are owning a project or you are owning a particular scope, than just reacting to things.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think we have some few questions in the comments that we can respond to. I know we've answered one of the questions that talks about what are some of the important questions to ask when starting a project. There's one question that is being asked by Jodine. I think we touched a little bit of it. Maybe if you want to expand to it, that would be cool. I can also add it. And the question is, if a new employee makes a mistake early on, what's the best way to recover and continue building trust?
That's a good question. Own up to it. First step number one is owning up to it. So you're gonna end up making mistakes. That is just like guaranteed. There's no getting away from that. Whenever we talk about like the good traits of like a good employee is the fact that they own it, they learn from it, and then they're able to help the next person. And so, in this particular question, best way to recover. So sometimes your issues you make on your in your first 30 days, you feel like, oh man, these things are such a big deal. Am I ever going to be able to recover? You don't know the answer to that question. Like you have no idea if this is going to be something that's going to be, career ending or anything like that. So don't stress about it. You can't do anything about it, about that question. But what you can do is being able to kind of see, how could I improve? Is there some type of way that I can support the next person? So let's say it was a security finding. Is there some type of solution I can develop or document so that the next person never has to go through that process. And so just thinking about ways in which your particular mistake can be avoided by the next person, by yourself, like that's really important. It shows that you have this learn it all mentality that we really value.
Yeah.
I, I
Yeah,
see a
so let me just add a little bit of just one or two thoughts. During my first rotation, I made a mistake on a particular project that I was working towards, and my manager told me something about trust. So she told me that trust is being that we all have our trust until we lose the trust. So everyone has been given a trust until we do something to lose the trust. So I made a mistake on something, and like you said, what I did was I took ownership of it, right? I took ownership of it, and I explained what happened, right? What were some of the reasons, or what were my thoughts behind what I did, and why it didn't work well. So I gave a clear steps of what I was doing and what was my approach to what I was doing. And after I took the feedback, I went with the feedback and implemented the feedback. So making mistakes and getting feedback are good things, because these are signals that you're growing. Because if you don't make mistakes, if you don't make mistakes in those career, like you don't have those tendency of growing, because when you make those mistakes, it makes you go faster and grow ahead of your career. Yeah.
perfect. I see this question from Anish in this chat. It says, if you were graduating today with no experience, no strong network, and only 6 months to prepare, what exact roadmap would you follow to land a great job? I'm going to tell you to the second item where it says no strong network, you have a strong network. You have the folks that are in this particular session. That's the biggest piece that I'll leave out there is for folks that are using LinkedIn. It is mind blowing how accessible people will be. And so the
Yeah.
folks that you see on the platform that are in positions that you want to be in, that are doing the type of work that you want to do, engage with them. If you know you want to be in the healthcare space doing that IT work, folks love to talk about themselves. So ask them, can I interview you and learn more about how you got to your position? So that's one, to build that strong network. But the one that I really feel like is important is to put hands on. So, with the changes that we see in AI, there are so many ways that you can start to put your hands on devices such as your own environment, building solutions that could allow you to answer a question maybe in your community. And so, as you build that solution, you're learning skills and you're developing the skills you need so that you can actually communicate that in your next role. And so, I just encourage you to gain the hands on experience, build your network starting with LinkedIn, and do that consistently as you look for your role. And I'm
Yeah, so just a little bit of like adding to that. I know that we are almost wrapping up. You need to understand and manage that there are a lot of opportunities currently in the world, right? You can volunteer to gain experience. You could um, volunteer your skills. You could find people and build something for them and get those experience. When I started my career, I didn't have so much of those experience. I did a lot of volunteering, right? I did a lot of coursework. I did a lot of self-help things that helped me gain those experience, because those are the things that you want to share, right? Those are the things that you want to talk about when you are recruiting, right? How you helped people move the needle from one point to another. So those things are things that you can do. And currently now we have AI. You can use AI to build those skills, so that when you are implementing your resume, you could put in those skills as your technical work. You can prototype things. You can join hackathon groups. You can join program groups. You don't necessarily need to have like a kick off a start career for you to go to the next steps, right? And there are a lot of people available to help. Reach out to people, speak to them. People will definitely help you. I've been helped, and I always help people that reached out to me on LinkedIn.
awesome.
Uh, I, I know we are out of time. I don't know if we want to answer any question again. We are pretty much out of time.
No, we are, but I really appreciate folks that are listening in. Keep the conversations going. Like I mentioned, there's folks that are in the chat now with you as well as us that we would love to continue the conversation, and appreciate you guys sitting through the session with us. Thanks.
Yes. So one advice I would say is that continue learning, continue scaling, and continue building yourself, because that's one of the ways you could stand out and do great things. Thank you very much.